Imagine waking up to a silence so heavy it suffocates you. You walk down the hallway to your children's bedrooms, expecting to see them sleeping or playing, but the beds are made. The closets are empty. Their favorite toys are gone. On the kitchen counter, there is no note, just the lingering memory of a conversation you had weeks ago where your spouse promised you that taking the kids to their home country was just for a short cultural visit. This is the nightmare scenario that keeps every single parent who marries abroad awake at night. It is the silent terror of international parental abduction, and according to some absolutely terrifying new insider reports reaching our desk this morning, this is no longer just a paranoid fear for Elizabeth Potthast. It is a very real, very calculated plan currently being set in motion by Andrei Castravet. We are talking about a plot involving one-way tickets, secret citizenship applications, an illegal loophole that could leave Libby powerless to ever bring Eleanor and Winston back to American soil. You think you know the drama of 90 Day Fiance, but what we are uncovering today isn't a scripted fight for the cameras. It is a strategic extraction plan. We have obtained details about travel itineraries that do not add up, and a whistleblower alleges that Andrei has been making inquiries that no father planning a simple 2-week vacation would ever need to make. If you want to stay ahead of the most shocking reality TV investigations and deep dives that the mainstream media is afraid to touch, you need to hit that like button right now. It tells the algorithm that you demand the truth. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We are exposing the secrets they try to bury, and you do not want to miss what comes next. Now let's dismantle the lie. The official story, the one being fed to the friends and perhaps even to the producers, is that Andrei wants to take Eleanor and Winston to Moldova to connect with their roots. He talks about culture and heritage. It sounds innocent enough. It sounds like the right thing to do. Who wouldn't want their children to know their grandparents and their history? But here is where the story fractures. Our investigation has uncovered whispers of a travel itinerary that paints a much darker picture. Typically, when a family books a summer vacation, especially one involving small children and international travel, you book a round-trip ticket. It is standard procedure. It is required for visa purposes in many places, and it is simply how responsible parenting works. You need to know when you are coming home. But reliable sources are suggesting that a booking made under Andrei's name for himself and the children to Chisinau, Moldova, allegedly does not have a return date confirming their flight back to Tampa. Let that sink in. A one-way entry. When confronted with this kind of discrepancy, the usual excuse is an open-ended return or keeping options open for ticket prices. But in the world of high-conflict international marriages, a one-way ticket is the #1 red flag for abduction. Why would a man who is constantly battling with his wife's family, a man who has expressed valid frustration with his life in America, leave the return date blank? Because, according to the theory we are exploring today, he arguably has no intention of using it. The plan isn't to visit. The plan is to relocate. And the scariest part? He doesn't need to drag Libby onto the plane to make this happen. In fact, it is easier for him if she stays behind. This brings us to the foundational lie. Andrei has spent years building a narrative that he is the victim of the Potthast family's xenophobia. He has conditioned Libby to believe that any hesitation she has about his culture or his home country is just her being closed-minded, or worse, her being manipulated by her father and sisters. This is a masterclass in psychological grooming. By framing the trip as a cultural necessity, he traps Libby. If she says no, if she says she is worried he won't come back, he can turn around and scream that she is insulting his heritage. He can accuse her of trying to erase his identity from their children. It is a perfect shield. He uses the concept of heritage as a cover for an escape plan. He knows that Libby wants to be the cool, supportive wife who embraces his background. He is banking on her guilt to get those kids on that plane. But there is one person who isn't buying the guilt trip. One person who has remained largely in the background, watching, observing, and now, reportedly, panicking. We often talk about Chuck or Charlie or Jen, but we need to talk about Pamela, Elizabeth's mom. While the rest of the family is distracted by petty fights and backyard brawls, Pamela has allegedly been the voice of reason that no one wants to hear. Sources close to the family circle suggest that Pamela has been urging Libby to look at the reality of the situation. She sees what Libby refuses to see. She recognizes that Andrei has been slowly isolating Libby, cutting off her support systems and creating a dynamic where he calls the shots. Pamela has supposedly been advising Libby to put the children on a do-not-fly list or to legally confiscate their passports until a custody agreement is solidified. But Libby, seemingly blinded by her desire to keep the peace and prove her marriage is solid, is dismissing her mother's intuition as just more family drama. Libby thinks her mom is being paranoid or xenophobic, but in reality, Pamela might be the only one who sees the cliff edge they are driving towards. Let's talk about the smoking gun. This is the detail that takes this from a conspiracy theory to a terrifying probability. You do not need dual citizenship for a 2-week vacation. You just don't. An American passport allows you to enter Moldova for tourism perfectly fine. Yet, insiders claim that Andrei has been secretly inquiring about and facilitating the process for citizenship by descent for Eleanor and Winston. Why? Why the rush? Why do it now, behind Libby's back, or under the guise of just having options? The answer lies in the legal protection it offers him once he lands on Moldovan soil. If those children enter Moldova as American tourists, they are subject to certain international travel limits. But if they enter as Moldovan citizens, they are home. They are subjects of the Moldovan government. If Andrei manages to secure Moldovan passports for the kids without Libby fully grasping the implications, he is effectively changing the legal jurisdiction of their custody battle before it even begins. Once those kids are recognized as citizens residing in Moldova, an American court order becomes significantly harder to enforce. Andrei knows this. He is not stupid. He has navigated immigration systems before. He knows how bureaucracy works. By securing their citizenship, he is building a fortress around them that Libby's American lawyers will struggle to penetrate. This isn't about collecting a souvenir passport. This is about establishing a legal claim that supersedes Libby's parental rights the moment they cross the border. We have to look at the timeline. Why now? Why is this summer the target? Look at the financial pressure. Look at the crumbling relationships with the Potthast family. Andrei has arguably realized that the golden goose of the family business is drying up, or that his place in it is never going to be what he wants it to be. He is a proud man. We have seen that pride explode on screen dozens of times. He hates being under Chuck's thumb. He hates being questioned. Taking the children to Moldova permanently isn't just about missing home. It is the ultimate power move. It is the ultimate way to assert dominance over a family that he feels has disrespected him for years. Imagine the satisfaction of calling Chuck and saying, "You wanted to control everything? Well, your grandchildren are with me, in my country, and there is nothing your money can do about it." This brings us to the logistics of the exit strategy. Whistleblowers suggest that Andrei has been moving assets quietly. We aren't seeing big flashy purchases, but rather a tightening of funds, a redirection of resources. If he is planning to stay in Moldova, he needs a war chest. He knows Libby won't support him if he kidnaps the kids, so he needs to have enough cash to bribe officials, pay for lawyers in Chisinau, and sustain a lifestyle until he can leverage the children for a massive payout. This is where the theory gets even darker. We are looking at a potential hostage situation disguised as a custody dispute. The betrayal here is so deep because it relies on Libby's trust. She trusts that he is a good father, and he is, in the sense that he loves his kids. But a toxic partner often views children not as individuals, but as possessions, as extensions of themselves. By taking them to Moldova, he isn't just taking them to a new school. He is taking them to a place where he is the king, where he speaks the language, where he knows the system, and where Libby is the outsider who can't even read the street signs. He is flipping the script. In Florida, he is the immigrant, the outsider, the one dependent on her family. In Moldova, he holds all the cards. He becomes the gatekeeper. And if Libby wants to see her babies, she will have to play by his rules, on his turf, likely without the protection of her family or American law. We also need to discuss this citizenship by descent application process in more detail, because this is where the deception is likely happening. To get these passports, both parents usually need to consent. So how is he doing it? Is he forging signatures? Is he slipping documents in front of Libby amidst a pile of other paperwork, telling her it's just for school records or medical insurance? Libby has admitted on the show that she doesn't always read the fine print, that she lets Andrei handle the logistics. This passivity is dangerous. It is the crack in the armor that Andrei is exploiting. He relies on her not asking questions. He relies on her fear of starting a fight. Every time she signs a paper without translating it, she could be signing away her custody rights. And let's be honest about the travel agent leak. In the age of digital bookings, it is very hard to hide a flight path. The fact that this information has allegedly surfaced suggests that someone in the chain, maybe a concerned employee, maybe a friend of a friend, saw the discrepancy. A booking for one adult male and two minors, one way. No return ticket for the mother. No return ticket for the kids. That is not a family vacation. That is an evacuation. The source claims that the dates align perfectly with a time when Libby is scheduled to be busy with a new business venture or family commitment, something that would give Andrei the perfect excuse to go ahead to get the kids settled before she joins them. I'll go first, set up the house, let them see their grandparents, and you come in 2 weeks. It's the classic bait and switch. Once she waves goodbye at the airport, the trap snaps shut. Consider the psychological toll on the children. They are being used as pawns in a geopolitical game of chess. They are being told they are going on an adventure, unaware that they might never see their bedrooms, their cousins, or their mother again. And for Libby, the moment she realizes the return ticket was never booked, it will be too late. The plane will be in the air. The jurisdiction will have shifted. She will be standing in an empty house, holding a phone that Andrei isn't answering, realizing that the xenophobic warnings from her mother were actually prophecies. This is the context we are working with. A desperate man, a trusting wife, a vigilant grandmother, and a legal system that is about to be weaponized. But this is just the setup. What happens when the plane actually lands? What happens when Andrei makes that phone call? The plan gets much more specific, and the demands get much more expensive. We are uncovering details about a proposed settlement that Andrei has allegedly drafted, a ransom note in the form of a divorce agreement. The moment the wheels of that plane touch the tarmac in Chisinau, the dynamic of the entire Potthast family shifts irrevocably. We have received exclusive insights into what insiders believe is Andrei's endgame, a strategy so cold and calculated it makes every argument we have seen on the show look like child's play. The theory centers on the ultimatum. The minute he clears customs and is safely on Moldovan soil with the children's newly minted Moldovan passports in his pocket, the mask allegedly comes off. The friendly, accommodating husband who just wanted his kids to see their heritage vanishes. In his place stands a man holding the ultimate leverage. The phone call Libby receives won't be a quick check-in to say they landed safely. It will be the call that ends her life as she knows it. Sources speculate the conversation will be brief and brutal. The children are staying here. If you want to see them, you send the money. We are talking about a ransom demand, but not the kind you see in action movies with unmarked bills in a briefcase. This is a ransom disguised as a divorce settlement. The figure floating around the rumor mill is $1 million. Why $1 million? Because Andrei knows exactly what the Potthast family business is worth. He has spent years working on the inside, looking at the books, listening to Chuck brag about property values, and understanding the liquidity of the family assets. He knows that while they might not have $1 million sitting in a checking account, they have the assets to raise it if they are desperate enough. And what is more desperate than a mother trying to buy back her children? He is banking on the fact that Chuck will liquidate properties, sell flips at a loss, and drain his retirement to get his grandchildren back. This isn't just about custody. This is about a golden parachute. It is about Andrei securing financial independence for the rest of his life, paid for by the very people he despises. But the plan goes deeper than just money. It is about legal jurisdiction. We need to talk about the Hague Convention because everyone throws this term around as if it is a magic wand that brings abducted children home. It is not. Yes, Moldova is a signatory to the Hague Convention on the civil aspects of international child abduction. On paper, this means they agree to return children who are wrongfully removed from their habitual residence. But the reality on the ground in Eastern Europe can be vastly different from the text of a treaty. We have spoken with legal experts familiar with the region who warn that corruption is a significant hurdle. The corruption index in Moldova has historically been a point of concern. If Andrei has the right connections, and remember, he was a police officer there, he knows the system, he has friends in high places, he could theoretically influence a local judge. The strategy here is to delay. In international custody cases, time is the enemy of the left-behind parent. If Andrei can tie the case up in Moldovan courts for a year or two, he can argue that the children have now settled in their new environment. He can argue that ripping them away from their new school, their grandparents, and their language would be psychologically damaging. This is known as the Article 13b defense under the Hague Convention, the grave risk exception. He could claim that returning the children to the United States, to a home filled with the screaming matches and toxicity of the Potthast family, presents a grave risk to their mental stability. Imagine the irony. He could use the very footage from the TV show, the fights Charlie started, the wine-throwing incidents, the chaotic family dinners, as evidence in a Moldovan court to prove that the American home is unfit. He could argue he is rescuing them from a dysfunctional environment. And a Moldovan judge, looking to protect Moldovan citizens, might just agree with him. Now, let's look at the overlooked protagonist, again, Pamela. While Libby is hyper-focused on her sisters and her dad, Pamela has been quietly gathering information. Sources allege that Pamela has been trying to get Libby to consult a forensic accountant. She suspects that Andrei has been siphoning small amounts of money for months, building a runaway fund. You don't execute an international move with zero cash on hand. You need liquidity. You need bribes. You need rent money. The theory is that Andrei has been inflating renovation costs on the house flips he works on with Chuck. A few thousand here for materials, a few thousand there for contractors. It flies under the radar because Chuck is too busy managing the big picture to audit every receipt. But Pamela sees it. She sees the unexplained withdrawals. She sees the lack of transparency. If this is true, Andrei isn't just kidnapping the kids. He is funding the kidnapping with Chuck's own money. It is a double betrayal. Let's shift to the psychological warfare component. This is perhaps the most devastating part of the plot. If Andrei succeeds in keeping the children in Moldova, even temporarily, he begins the process of parental alienation. He controls the phone lines. He controls the narrative. He can tell Eleanor and Winston anything he wants. Mommy is busy working. Mommy doesn't want to come see us. Mommy's family hates us. Children are impressionable. Within months, he can twist their memories. He can make them fear their mother or resent her for abandoning them. By the time Libby manages to get a court hearing or flies over there to fight for them, she might find her own children looking at her like a stranger. This is the nuclear option of custody battles, and Andrei has the personality type to push the button. He has shown time and time again that he demands absolute loyalty and that he views anyone who opposes him as an enemy. If he views Libby as an enemy, he will not hesitate to turn the children against her. We also have to consider the Trojan horse aspect of his recent behavior. Lately, viewers have noticed Andrei acting slightly calmer, slightly more cooperative on the show. He is attending events. He is smiling more. Skeptics believe this is a calculated performance. He is lulling everyone into a false sense of security. If he were screaming and threatening to leave every day, Libby would be on high alert. She would be guarding those passports with her life. But by playing the reformed family man, by acting like he wants to mend bridges, he lowers her defenses. He makes her feel safe enough to sign the permission forms. He makes her feel guilty for ever doubting him. It is the calm before the storm. He is creating a trail of good behavior that he can later point to in court to say, "Look, I tried. I was a good husband. They drove me away." Let's dig deeper into this citizenship by descent loophole. This is a critical piece of the puzzle that most people do not understand. If the children are dual citizens, the U.S. Embassy in Moldova has limited power to help them. The U.S. State Department warns specifically about this. When a dual citizen is in the country of their other nationality, the U.S. government often cannot provide consular assistance. They cannot just send in the Marines to extract the kids. They are subject to local laws. Andrei knows this. He knows that once those kids are recognized as Moldovan, the U.S. Embassy is effectively handcuffed. He is stripping Libby of the protection of her government. He is forcing her to fight in an arena where the referee speaks his language, not hers. And what about the living situation in Moldova? We have heard reports from locals in Chisinau who claim to have seen Andrei, or associates acting on his behalf, looking at real estate. Not vacation rentals, not hotels, but long-term leases on apartments near international schools. Why would a father planning a 2-week summer trip be inquiring about international school enrollment dates? Why would he be looking at 12-month leases? These are not the actions of a tourist. These are the actions of a resident. A whistleblower from a local real estate agency allegedly let slip that a man matching Andrei's description was specific about needing a place with high security and privacy. He is building a fortress. He is preparing to hunker down and weather the storm that will erupt coming from Florida. Imagine the scene in the Potthast household when the realization hits. The confusion, the denial. Libby calls Andrei's phone over and over, getting sent straight to voicemail. Then, the panic. She calls Chuck. Chuck calls his lawyers. But what can a Florida family law attorney do in Eastern Europe? Very little. They will burn through tens of thousands of dollars just trying to find a lawyer in Moldova who is trustworthy and willing to take the case against a local national. Meanwhile, every day that passes is a day Andrei cements his control. Every day, the kids get more used to their new life. Every day, the status quo shifts in his favor. There is also a theory circulating among insiders that Andrei has a silent partner in this plan. Someone back in Moldova who is helping him set the stage. Maybe a family member, maybe an old friend from the force. Someone who is handling the paperwork, securing the apartment, and setting up the bank accounts so that everything is ready the moment he lands. This explains how he can arrange all of this while being in Florida. He has eyes and ears on the ground. He has a support network that Libby knows nothing about. She thinks she knows his family, but does she? Does she know who he really talks to on those long phone calls in Romanian that she can't understand? The language barrier has always been his greatest weapon. He can plan his entire escape right in front of her face, and she wouldn't understand a word of it. We must also address the no extradition fear. While Moldova does have extradition treaties, they generally apply to criminal cases, not civil family disputes. Kidnapping your own children is a crime in the US. But in many countries, if you are the father, it is viewed as a civil custody dispute, not a criminal abduction. Andrei could walk the streets of Chisinau freely. He wouldn't be a fugitive there. He would be a father. This distinction is what makes international parental abduction so terrifyingly difficult to resolve. The local police aren't going to kick down his door. They're going to tell Libby to file a motion in family court. It is a slow, agonizing bureaucratic nightmare designed to wear the left-behind parent down until they run out of money or hope. Furthermore, think about the leverage he gains over the Potthast family business. If Chuck wants to see his grandkids, maybe he has to sign over a percentage of the business to Andrei. Maybe he has to agree to continue paying Andrei a salary even while he is in Moldova. Andrei could effectively blackmail the family into funding his life abroad. You cut off the money, you cut off the Skype calls. It is emotional extortion at its finest. He knows that Eleanor and Winston are the only things that truly matter to the family. They are the weak point. He has identified the Achilles heel of the Potthast dynasty, and he is driving a spear right through it. The betrayal of trust involved here is staggering. Libby has defended him against every accusation. When her sisters called him a user, she defended him. When her brother called him a bum, she defended him. When her dad questioned his past, she defended him. She has alienated her own family to stand by his side. If this plot is real, it means that every single one of those family members was right. It means Charlie was right. It means Jen was right. And for Libby, that realization, that she fought for the man who would eventually steal her children, will be a psychological break that is hard to recover from. It creates a level of devastation that goes beyond just losing the kids. It is the total collapse of her reality. Let's not forget the role of the travel itinerary again, the open jaw ticket. Some sources claim the booking isn't just a one-way to Chisinau, but that there is a separate, solo ticket booked for Andrei to return to the US months later, alone. Why would he come back alone? To finalize the divorce? To liquidate assets? To confront the family in person once the kids are safely stashed away? Or perhaps to serve Libby with Moldovan custody papers on American soil? This detail, if true, suggests supreme confidence. He isn't afraid of coming back. He believes that once the kids are in Moldova, the game is won, and he can travel back and forth as he pleases, untouchable. The narrative we are seeing unfold is the perfect storm of legal loopholes, family dysfunction, and individual ambition. Andrei has always wanted to be the head of the household. In America, living in Chuck's rental properties, working for Chuck's business, he never can be. He is always the employee, always the tenant. But in Moldova, he is the patriarch. He determines the rules. Taking the kids, there isn't just about culture. It is about restoring his ego. It is about taking back the masculinity he feels the Potthast family has stripped from him. And he is willing to tear a mother away from her children to get that feeling of power back. The insiders reporting on this situation are urging caution, but the signs are there for anyone willing to look. The passport applications, the one-way tickets, the hidden funds, the sudden interest in heritage. It all points to a singular, terrifying conclusion. We are watching a slow-motion car crash, and Libby is in the passenger seat with a blindfold on. But what happens when the legal battle actually starts? What happens when the U.S. State Department gets involved? And what is the one mistake Andrei might have made that could bring the whole house of cards crashing down? There is a twist coming in the final part of this investigation. A legal oversight that Andrei, in his arrogance, may have missed. A detail about the children's U.S. citizenship that could give Libby a fighting chance, provided she acts fast enough. And there is a rumor about a private investigator that Pamela allegedly hired weeks ago, a PI who has been tracking Andrei's digital footprint and may have the smoking gun evidence needed to stop him at the airport before he ever boards that plane. But here's where the master plan begins to crack. For all of Andrei's calculated maneuvering, for all his inside knowledge of the Moldovan system, and for all his arrogant confidence, there is one critical detail he may have fatally overlooked. A legal tripwire buried deep within the U.S. State Department's bureaucracy that could stop him dead in his tracks before he even reaches the security checkpoint. It is called the Children's Passport Issuance Alert Program, or CPIP. Andrei is banking on Libby being passive. He is banking on her being unaware. But he forgot about the one variable he cannot control, Pamela's paranoia. If the rumors about Pamela hiring a private investigator are true, then this game is already over, and Andrei just doesn't know it yet. Sources suggest that weeks ago, acting on a gut feeling that her daughter was walking into a trap, Pamela may have already contacted the State Department to enroll Eleanor and Winston in this alert program. If she convinced Libby to sign that form, perhaps by framing it as a simple precaution against identity theft, then the moment Andrei submits an application for a new passport or tries to use a reported one, the alarm bells ring. Not in Chisinau, but in Washington, D.C. The State Department doesn't just deny the application. They notify the other parent immediately. Imagine the scene. Andrei thinks he is being slick. He thinks he is operating in the shadows. But silently, a notification lands in Libby's inbox, or better yet, Pamela's. An attempt was made to secure travel documents for your child. That is the smoking gun. That is the concrete proof that destroys the just a summer vacation lie instantly. It transforms a suspicion into a confirmed abduction attempt. And this leads us to the explosive confrontation that insiders believe is inevitable. We are hearing whispers that the private investigator Pamela allegedly hired has unearthed more than just flight paths. We are talking about digital breadcrumbs that lead to a secret war chest. The PI supposedly tracked IP addresses used to access Moldovan real estate sites and bank accounts back to a burner phone. A phone that Andrei keeps hidden in his gym bag. Why does a husband need a burner phone? Why does he need a separate data plan that his wife doesn't see? The investigators' report, if it exists, paints a picture of a man living a double life. One life as the doting father on TV, and another as a strategist plotting a tactical extraction. This intel changes everything for Libby. If she has this evidence, the flight logs, the bank transfers, the burner phone records, she has the ammunition to file for an emergency ex parte order for sole custody. This is the nuclear option in American family court. It allows a judge to strip Andrei of his custody rights immediately, without him even being present, based on the imminent threat of abduction. It allows law enforcement to seize the children's passports physically. It allows the airport police to flag the children's names in the TSA database. So, let's visualize the airport interception scenario. This is the moment the entire plot hinges on. Andrei packs the bags. He hurries the kids into the car. He tells Libby he's just taking them to the airport early to beat traffic, maybe telling her she can meet them there later or that he's handling the check-in. He is sweating. He knows this is the point of no return. He walks up to the airline counter, hands over the passports, and smiles that charming smile. But the agent doesn't smile back. The agent types something, frowns, and picks up the phone. "Sir, can you step aside?" In that second, the arrogance evaporates. The realization hits him He has been outmaneuvered, not by Chuck, not by Charlie, but by the xenophobic mother-in-law he underestimated. Police officers approach. They don't arrest him for kidnapping. Not yet. But they inform him that the children are on a do not depart list. The flight leaves without them. And standing there, watching from a distance, or perhaps waiting at home with a court order in hand, is Libby. The blindfold is finally off. The trust is shattered. The marriage is effectively over, not with a whimper, but with a foiled crime. But what if the PI is wrong? What if Pamela didn't act in time? We have to consider the darkest timeline, the one where he actually succeeds. If he gets on that plane, the one-way ticket theory becomes reality. The fallout would be catastrophic for the 90-day Fiance franchise and tragic for the family. We would witness a real-time international hostage crisis play out on social media. We would see Libby pleading on Instagram Live, looking gaunt and terrified. We would see Chuck Potthast liquidating his empire, selling off the family legacy to pay the ransom, disguised as legal fees and settlements. We would see the Potthast family torn apart not by petty drama, but by a void where two children used to be. The financial extortion element is what makes this theory so plausible. Andrei has always felt entitled to the Potthast money. He believes he is owed. In his twisted logic, taking the kids and demanding a payout isn't theft. It is back pay. It is compensation for the years of humiliation he endured at family barbecues. It is payment for every time Charlie calls him a bum. He is cashing out his emotional equity in the marriage. And he knows that Libby, who has always been his greatest defender, is the perfect mark because she never believes he is capable of evil until it is staring her in the face. So where does this leave us? We are standing on the precipice of the biggest scandal in the history of the show. We have the motive, revenge, control, and money. We have the means, dual citizenship loopholes, a one-way ticket, and a support network in a non-extradition friendly country. And we have the opportunity, a planned summer trip that provides the perfect cover. The pieces are all there. The puzzle is almost complete. The question is, will Libby wake up in time? Will she listen to the warnings ringing in her ears? Or will she be the victim of her own optimism? This isn't just reality TV drama anymore. This is a potential tragedy in the making. The call to action for Libby is clear, and it is urgent. She needs to confiscate those passports immediately. She needs to put them in a safety deposit box that only she has the key to. She needs to file a motion to prevent international travel until a formal custody agreement is in place. It might cause a fight. It might cause a divorce. But a divorce is better than a kidnapping. A screaming match is better than an empty bedroom. And for you, the viewer, the takeaway is chilling. It forces us to look at the signs we might be missing in our own lives or the lives of people we watch. It reminds us that behind the gloss of reality TV production, there are real human stakes, real dangers, and real predators who know how to work the system. Andrei Castravet has shown us who he is for years. He has shown us his temper. He has shown us his desire for dominance. Why are we surprised that he might finally make his move? We will be monitoring this situation around the clock. Our sources are on high alert for any updates regarding the travel dates, the court filings in Tampa, and the activity of that mysterious private investigator. If that ghost itinerary is confirmed, if we get a photo of that one-way ticket, you will see it here first. We are digging into the Moldovan court records as we speak to see if any citizenship applications have been filed in Chisinau under the children's names. We are not letting this go. This investigation is far from over. The summer is approaching, and with it, the window of opportunity for Andrei's alleged plan. The clock is ticking. Every day that Libby stays silent is a day Andrei gets closer to the departure gate. We can only hope that the xenophobic mother she ignored becomes the savior she desperately needs. If this deep dive sent a shiver down your spine, if you believe that where there is smoke, there is fire, then you need to destroy that like button right now. It is the only way to help us expose these stories. Share this video with every 90-day Fiance fan you know. Get the word out. The more eyes on this situation, the harder it is for him to slip away in the dark. And tell me in the comments below, do you think Andrei is actually capable of kidnapping the kids? Or is this just another elaborate plot to secure a storyline for the next season? Do you trust him? Or do you think Pamela is the only sane person left in Florida? I read every single comment, and I want to know your theory. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. We have another report coming next week about a different couple involving a secret second family and a wire fraud investigation that will blow your mind. You do not want to miss it. Until then, keep your eyes open, because the truth is always stranger than the script. This is your channel, signing off. Stay vigilant.